People. The source of some of my greatest joys, but also my biggest fears, right? Losing my family, abandonment, rejection. You know what my number one reason for not starting this channel sooner was? People. I've seen comments that people leave online. They're ruthless. I thought about what people might think, what people might say about me if I was meeting these invisible expectations that I imagined they had, but really I just had. Today we will be talking about people pleasing, what it is, how to know if you are one, and if so, how to overcome it, and is there a correct way to people please? All of this and more we will cover in today's video. But first, we're going to define the term, because sometimes just having an understanding of the definition puts so much into perspective. Here are a few definitions I've compiled from various experts' websites. Number 1, a learned behavior pattern characterized by compliance, agreeableness, and avoidance of interpersonal tension, driven by a desire for acceptance or fear of rejection. An excessive tendency to seek approval and validation from others, often by suppressing one's own needs, preferences, or boundaries. From a biblical perspective, seeking the approval, acceptance, or praise of others above God's. So there's a few common themes here. It's a habit or a learned behavior, and it's generally done to avoid conflict or gain acceptance. But ironically, in trying so hard to gain these things from other people and avoid being abandoned by other people, you have to abandon other things. Your identity, your purpose, your own thoughts and feelings. So that's what people-pleasing is. What about what people-pleasing is not? It's not kindness. It's not humility. It's not love. Because there's a condition attached to it. You want something from the other person. You are trying to control the outcome. When I perform a genuine act of love for someone, I have no idea if they're going to reciprocate it or not. I have no idea if they're going to resent me for it or not. But that doesn't matter because I am wholeheartedly concerned with the well-being of that person. Versus if I perform an act of people-pleasing, I'm doing so to try to manufacture the outcome to protect or serve me. So we've already touched on a few signs, and chances are if you clicked on this video, you think you are a people pleaser. But here's just a few more that maybe you haven't associated with people pleasing, or you just want to confirm, is this really something I do? Avoiding conflict at all costs, downplaying your own needs, feeling anxious or ashamed if someone's upset at you, struggling to relax unless everyone else is happy, feeling responsible for other people's emotions and also feeling a need to fix it, over-apologizing, feeling resentment if a person doesn't reciprocate your actions, believing love must be earned, and suppressing your own boundaries, values, desires in attempt to keep peace amongst people. If you do any of these excessively, there's a good chance you are a people pleaser. Now, with this established, we are going to tackle this topic how I like to tackle all topics, and that is by getting to the root of it. Why do we people please? What are we afraid of? Taking a quick pause to meet the ultimate non-people pleaser. Come say hi. This is my sister, Lisi. I heard your appointment got changed. How do you feel about that? You're okay about it? Lisi, I'm talking to them about people pleasing, which means it means doing things, always trying to make other people happy, even if it's making you upset and tired and stressed. What do you think? Do you think that's good? Yeah. She's like, no. All right, say bye, Lisi. Seriously, I shouldn't be the one talking in this video. If you want to get a lesson on how to not people please, talk to her. But back to what I was talking about, we're going to get to the root of why we people please. We don't come out of the womb people pleasers. There are circumstances in our life from which this habit was born. This could be the way you were raised. Maybe you had a narcissistic parent, and as long as you pleased them, there was peace. Nobody got hurt. Psychologists and therapists refer to this as fawning. It's the fourth trauma response. There's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. When the first three don't work, you learn that you can keep this person happy, even at the expense of your own boundaries, your own needs, your own wants, in order to stay safe and survive. So your nervous system thinks it is protecting you by doing this. And it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be any abusive relationship where the only way to stay in it or get what you felt you needed was by appeasing and submitting to that other person. Maybe you took up the role of the hero child. You achieved all of your parents' expectations, you calmed and took care of your siblings, and you were praised for that, or outsiders praised your family for that. Maybe you're trying to make up for something, or the way you treated someone in the past. There's guilt involved. Or, and this was a very convicting one for me, you equate being loved with being needed. There was a time when I thought the other person would only stay in a relationship with me as long as they needed me. So if I stopped providing value, if I stopped going above and beyond, if I did anything that I imagined wasn't quite to their expectation, they wouldn't need me anymore. You know what I realized? God doesn't need me, but He wants me. And He loves me more than anybody on this earth ever could. There is nothing I could possibly do or give God that He hasn't already done for me. But yet He willingly chooses every day to let me play a role in building His kingdom and seeking a closer relationship with me. Being needed is not the same as being loved. Another one is you see these innermost parts of you and you don't like them. So you can't possibly imagine that another person would like them, or at least stay friends with you if they learn the truth about them. Maybe you have a fear of being disliked or seen as a bad person, or you lack purpose and identity, and that's only worsening by people pleasing, but you don't know where to find it. Maybe you have a fear of rejection or abandonment, and some of this does stem from biology. It's understandable. A lot of our modern problems can be understood not from the latest science, but just by looking back at our biology. Way back when, you needed to be a part of the pack to survive. Rejection could literally mean death. But we don't live in those times anymore. Or maybe you're a Christian and you live with this idea that we are to keep peace at all times, at all costs. Constantly turn the other cheek, never offend anyone. Let me just tell you, if that were the case, the disciples, Paul, Jesus, would not have died the way they did. They would have stopped preaching the gospel at the first sign of opposition, at the first offense, the first time someone said, I don't like that. People disliked them to the point of killing them. But they did not value their own life, even unto death. Okay, I'm already leading into the next point. How do you overcome it? As a former people pleaser myself, or rather recovering people pleaser, I think the first step is recognizing the negative consequences of people pleasing. Because I think for me, at least, I understood the negative consequences, but I just thought they were outweighed by these other aspects of people pleasing, like surviving. But for some of these consequences that I'm about to share, I realized I'm actually achieving the opposite of what I'm trying to do. One aspect of people pleasing is to avoid being disliked. But ironically, nobody likes a people pleaser. Neediness is not an attractive quality, and more often than not, people can see right through your desperate attempts at approval. So in your pursuit to be liked, you're actually teaching people not to like you. Another thing is, if you are pulling all the weight in the relationship, constantly just going along with what the other person wants, never bringing up any conflict, the other person might lose interest. Think about it. We value things more deeply when we have invested in them, whether that's our time, our energy, our love. So if you're not leaving room for that other person to do anything, to help you, to ask you how you're doing, to talk through conflict with, they might lose interest in the relationship. Or worse, they will take advantage of you. Also, it places a limit on how deeply you can ever connect with someone, because you can never tell them if they're upsetting you, if you disagree with them. You can never share your true feelings in any moment, and intimate relationships require discussing those things. When I used to people please, I wanted to just be seen as loving and be loved. But am I really loving that other person by being inauthentic to them? If you imagine yourself on the other side, on the receiving end, if I am friends with someone and I can sense that they are not sharing their true thoughts with me, I'm thinking, well, do you not trust me enough to tell me these things? Do you think that I'm an incredibly shallow person and I'm gonna leave you over this? It is a gift to share your most honest thoughts and feelings with someone else. Vulnerability is the only way to build authentic connection. I remember I was in an acting class and the teacher told these two students to play a scene as good friends. And so the two scene partners, they get up there and they start playing the scene as they would imagine friends would play it. And he stops them and he goes, I wouldn't think you guys were friends. Maybe acquaintances at most. They were being all polite and complimenting each other. And he's like, how do friends interact with each other? You share little risky jokes. You tell them if that sweater looks ugly on them. The closer you are with someone, the more honest and authentic you can be. You're not just this polished, polite version of yourself. That's what that reminded me of. So it limits your connection with someone. It can also lead to burnout and resentment for the other person even. That I'm going out of my way to do all these things for you. I always say yes to you, and you're not doing the same in return. And I'm burned out because I keep saying yes to all these things that I don't have the mental capacity or the strength or the energy to handle at this time. And that's just not a good place to be. But most consequential, it distracts you from seeking value from your creator. And it can distract you or lead you to compromise on his will for you. And that's why to overcome people pleasing, you need to have the fear of God in your life. The book of Proverbs, the ultimate book of wisdom, starts out by saying the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of the Lord is not fear as in terror. It's having an awe and reverence and acknowledgement of who God is and how powerful he is in an obedient submission to his will. And then you start to fear anything that will take you away from that. But before you do that, you have to understand your identity in him. My dad would always tell me, when you want to know the purpose of a thing, you don't ask the thing, you ask the maker of the thing. Who better to know how you should live your life than the creator of life itself? And when you have that identity in something beyond yourself or other people, it just puts everything into perspective what you're supposed to do here. Paul talks about people pleasing in Galatians 1:10. He says, "For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ." Wow, you can't have two masters. Paul's former life, he was actually persecuting Christians. Now his identity is in Christ and he lives to serve him. You cannot serve God and people. And if you think that you're pleasing both, you're probably just pleasing people. And I understand that this is certainly easier said than done. And that's why, and I make this point in my video about overcoming laziness, I think so many Christians make the mistake today of thinking that grace is just for the next life. But because of grace, we get access to the Spirit of God here on this earth. And it's a spirit of power and love and self-control. And this spirit enables us to discern what to say no to abstain from the God of people-pleasing. Don't neglect the full gift of grace. So Paul's new identity is a servant of Christ. He seeks to do Christ's will and Christ's will alone. And what is Christ's will for us? We know for sure to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And so this kind of brings me into the next point of, well, how do I know what I can say no to? Well, one, if it goes against God's will and God's values, or if it prevents you from being able to fulfill God's will. I remember hearing someone say, I can't remember who it was a YouTube video, boundaries are not what mean people do when they can't take it anymore. Boundaries are what healthy people do, so they never get to that point. Even Jesus himself had boundaries. He knew when to withdraw. He knew when to rest. But again, Jesus also served other people. So there is a way to still correctly people please, if you will. I've heard some people call it that. One thing that really helped me was when I walk into a room full of other people, or just one person, instead of asking, what will they think of me? Ask, how can I serve them? And that sounds like something a people pleaser might ask, but it actually shifts the focus entirely off of you. So you're not even concerned with yourself. Because at its very core, people-pleasing can be considered idolatry of the self. Everything you do comes back to how it will affect you. Even if it's negative, you still have yourself at the foundation of the way you interact with other people. And a couple other points I wanted to make. If you have the approval of every man, which is, by the way, impossible. Nobody is going to be liked by everyone. You don't even like everyone. But let's just say that you did earn the approval and the praise of every person. Then what? Then what do you have? You've inevitably had to compromise your values, your beliefs, your individuality. And what about when man withers away, like mere grass, like it says in Isaiah? Then what do you have in the next life? And the last thing that helped me is I had to learn not to let other people still have power over my life that are no longer in it. Why would I still let them dictate my decisions? And understand that Jesus is not people. We live in a fallen, flawed world, and yes, people will hurt you. And yes, people may leave, but people can never take away what truly matters, and that's your relationship with Christ and your salvation. That is secured in Christ. You have a relationship that you can never lose. He knows your innermost flaws better than you know your own. But you are loved beyond measure. You are wanted beyond measure. When you live for a love like that, you stop craving it from other people. So I want to end this video by giving you some deeper reflection questions, because attempting to reverse a pattern of behavior that you've likely had for many years is a big task for one video. So hopefully these will give you the tools to keep doing it yourself in the future. The first one, am I trying to change a person by my actions, or am I hoping that they will change because of them? What is the furthest I would go to make somebody else happy or appreciate me? Are you trying to prove your own value in a relationship, or are you inadvertently proving what little value the other person has to offer you? Before I make a decision, whose reaction do I imagine? Is there anyone who still has an impact on my life that is no longer in it? This could be positive or negative. What feelings or situations am I trying to avoid by people pleasing? Do I ever feel resentful at other people for taking advantage of me? What can a person give me that God cannot? And the last one, am I nicer than Jesus? So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you think deeply about these questions. I know I will, certainly, because it's a work in progress, but I hope that it sheds some truth onto this topic. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, follow along for more videos like this, and getting to the root of things in general. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching if you stayed this far.